So, one of the biggest issues, I'm out of breath now, trying to get this trailer out. So, this is real time. So, it's only been 2 minutes, but it feels like it took 20 to get it out. It's a lot heavier than I thought. We moved it out of the way. It was my uncle's who passed away. And we moved it out of the way so that we could park the RV and everything and get some stuff to the cabin while we're working on it. And if you guys watch my cabin video, when we moved the cabin in, we had to push this fence back and take the border around this blackberry bed and then cut these plants way down so you can see where it's been cut. But this is starting to come back up again, and this one came up underneath the trailer in that short period of time. So this is why I was saying, if you need to cut your blackberries down for the winter to avoid diseases, you can do that no problem. We did it just because we needed to get them out of the way and I knew they would grow back. So look how big it is. Now this was underneath the trailer, which is one thing that it got stuck on that made it a little harder for me to get off, besides the fact I'm just out of shape and the trailer's a bit heavy. But you can see another one smaller that was stuck on. Plus, this is a raised bed, so it was raised inside of here. This is where the compost used to be. So there's actually a lot of hills and divots where trying to get the tires from getting unstuck, because they're not very big tires. Kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest. But I can't believe how much, just since we placed the cabin and cut this down completely, it's grown up with all this new growth right underneath it. So these are really great. I was thinking about dividing these up and planting them in front of the cabin, so it's going to be a while until we're ready to move this. We love having it here because when we're in town, because my husband does work out of town and we will go with him when we're in town and we want to be close to our family, it's just a great place to stay. Now when we finish buying land, we may or may not move it out there for a guest cabin, or as our oldest approaches adulthood, for him to stay in. But it is something we're still trying to work out for ourselves. You can see what a mess everything is over here. I'm a little worried about snakes with the old compost pile everywhere. So a couple things I want to do now that it's actually cool enough to work outside is take all this compost out and put it inside of a container. Take this non-broken down cardboard from the compost and put it in a trash bin. Because we're not composting anytime soon, we just need to take it to the dump for now. We'll worry about composting when we get really good compost bins in and kind of figure out the layout of the land here. We own this house for 7 years, but now that my mom and her husband have bought it, it's time for them to do their own thing with it. Okay, so when we moved that first bed out of the way in order to make the blackberries, I didn't think about it. I just kind of threw it over because it was heavy and we couldn't really find the stuff to take the screws out, and it ended up cracking all the way across here really bad, and also all across the top of it. You can see it actually turned out kind of cool. You can see the screw. So I thought about flipping this over so screws at the base, but we might just put something, I don't know what, over to keep it everyone protected, or when we get the bit, go ahead and take the screw out and screw it in lower. But at the end of the day, this is still a pretty good bed. There's not a ton of rot in it, which is impressive considering these have pulled the soil for the blackberry bed for a while. So I want to go ahead and fill up this bed, lay some cardboard down in it, because I'm pretty sure we can lay some of this out here, this cardboard that's in this bed, instead of just throwing it all in the trash. Lay it at the bottom of this. Yes, it's just normal cardboard, cereal boxes, all of that. And there's some cardboard over here that was in another compost, because we compost everything. Newspaper, cardboard, cereal boxes, you name it, it gets composted. The only issue is that I really like 4 feet of space in the walkways because my daughter's in a wheelchair, and I talked to my mom and she likes the layout too. And so we decided we're going to just put new wood around the old blackberry bed, or maybe even move those blackberries. But this one, I don't want to move it again too much because I think it would be just obliterated. Although I did think about moving it over here where around these okra plants that did not do great this year. It's the worst okra season ever. So what I'm going to do, I think the plan is this pile of wood needs to go. It is fire season, so it is a perfect time to burn it now that we're not in a drought anymore. So as soon as we get the okay to light a fire pit, which I haven't really kept track of, I'm going to start getting rid of all of this wood. And as you can see, this plant has grown into it a bit, which is really no big deal. I can just knock that down with a machete, no problem. But see right in here, I'm kind of nervous because, you know, it's Southeast Texas, we do have snakes, so a little nervous picking this up with my hands right now. But all this is going to be moved out of the way, and then this will be moved back, hopefully where it's even, because it's a couple feet shy being right here where it needs to be. Here, you can see it from a different angle. I don't know. I've kind of got a little walkway going right in here around the cabin. Originally we talked about making this another bed right here, but I'm a little concerned with blocking that walkway too. So I'm actually going to run inside and ask my mom what she thinks I should do. She'll likely say whatever I want because I am the one that does most of the gardening here, and it has gotten away from me, as you've seen in the last few videos. So let me find out, and if so, then once I find out where it goes, I'll probably start moving some stuff into it and show you my plans for it. So I went inside and asked my mom, hey mom, what do you want me to do with this bed since it's your yard? And literally she said, whatever you want to do, it's your garden, because whenever I ask you to plant something such as roses, you don't tell me you've had a bad experience or won't do it. And I was like, sure, you buy your plants and I'll plant them for you, no issue. So it gives me free reign over stuff. I thought about putting it over this okra bed right here, but as fragile as the bed is, I think it would just completely break apart. And plus there are a lot of weeds in here and I need to rake this out. Now this is the bed that I made a video over, where I just laid cardboard down and piled it up about 4 foot wide and 16 feet down and made this bed. So there have never been any sides on it. It worked well for what I needed, and quite frankly, if I actually kept it clear of weeds, it would probably look a lot better and do really well. So this is just one of those beds with okra planted. I could probably get a garden tool and rake all this grass out. And also it looks like I now have vineweed in here. That is a nightmare. It's actually everywhere if you look. So all of this we cleaned out a couple weeks ago, but when my stepmom passed away, it just kind of blew our minds. She was only 49, and you know, it's just been a hard adjustment for the entire family. So that took a lot. You know, I say stepmom because I know some people will get confused, because my mom, my biological mom, owns this property, but they're both my moms, so make no mistake about that. And just sometimes it gets confusing try to explain everything with family and how it works out. That's such a baby. Yeah, that is actually an okra flower, sister. She's back here. She's actually looking at this okra right here, and this is an okra flower. It's not open yet, but when it falls off, it will produce a baby okra. Here's
yep. This will probably be done in the morning.
Yep, a lot of these are covered. They'll probably bloom in the morning.
Yep. Like that one over there, maybe.
Some of these bloom today, so they'll probably fall off and produce okra. Yep. So I'm thinking, although I thought about making the bed even with this, we really do like having this tiller right here. The charms on it are really special. This one my son got for a garden, and you can see it's weather worn, but this one was my great grandmother's. I got it the day of her funeral, and this tiller was my grandfather's. He passed away 7 or 8 years ago. Everything just kind of runs together. Now, it wasn't running when he passed away. I'm not a till person. I tried once. It was not a fun experience with the way our clay soil was. I just didn't want to do that anymore. it was too much work for me. But this will be fun to put a garden bed around it if my mom is down for that later. And I think maybe making a slightly uneven bed next to it would be a really cool design. I'm not sure. I may just put, I thought about putting a diagonal bed, but they do get a little hard unless they're mulched around to stay clean. So maybe this area would be a good area to put that other bed in. You can see we have all this open space over here, so there's actually a lot of room we can add to the garden. And this, I think, is a Gala apple tree, but I can't for the life of me remember.
I can never remember what day that band was at the time.
Careful, because I'm afraid it'll break when you try to pick it up.
I'm just giving it a push. Oh.
It's pretty heavy.
Yep. This side broke.
I know it's been broke. Oh, trying to figure out exactly what to do with it. Okay, so I got it drug over here, but yeah, it's just pretty heavy. I'm trying to figure out exactly where to put it, because if I put it unevenly here, it's going to jut out quite a bit. So I'm really not sure how to do this. I think I need to get maybe my brother, I don't know. I don't see a lot of poison ivy. Some of these trees I'm really allergic to. I have scars on my arms from breaking out from them. So I think I just need to cut this down, cut that down, so that it's further back and take some of the tree line away from the garden. But I think if I keep this tiller here, if I move it, there's not going to be 4 feet, because this apple tree is going to butt up right against it. So that's not going to work. So I think I can either put like a cool triangular bed right in here, or put a really small rectangle, or in here maybe even like a hexagon shape. Something of that nature would probably work out well in this space, but this full 16-foot bed's not going to work, and it might be a little hard to get over that okra. I don't know. So I'm looking at this, and one thing is that a lot of our beds face, the house faces north, right? So a lot of the long beds that have the blackberries in them, they face north to south, so the sun shines on them. It doesn't cast too much shadow. When it runs east to west, they kind of all get direct sunlight at the same time. But I noticed this okra bed, it runs east to west, so that means it will cast shadow over the smaller plants. Now, we don't really have to worry about that, because other than the okra is our tallest plants, everything else we plant, it's kind of around a different season. Cucumber, squash, all of that. But one thing I did think is that I didn't want this to cast anything else out. So I think what I'm going to do is put it right here. There's the apple trees right in front of me. And that should still give a pretty good walkway. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it this way forward a bit. cardboard's actually splitting over here. Here, it's messed up. So. It's not 100%. I think that, honestly, it's about right. Okay, so let me turn it around. Okay, so this bed's pretty well splintered. I did quite a number on it, but like I said, we don't have the money to go get all new beds right now, so this screw's just gonna have to come down and go down. But you see the bed splintered. So what I do is build this bed. I'm gonna go ahead, undo the screw it back in, fill it up anyways, and later if I have to take this wood off and replace it, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So since we don't have the money to just be replacing beds all the time, we're gonna make do with what we have, add more beds around it. We'll deal with that later, but essentially this is what happened, is that I moved it from well over there where it was, and instead of putting it right here, and here's where the tiller is, this way I went ahead and put it long ways right over here, and we're gonna lay the cardboard inside of it and start moving the, okay, be careful because I broke that. This is the one I completely splintered, so if you're too rough with it, it's just gonna fall apart.
Yeah, but I'm fast.
Okay. Little brothers, guys.
I don't like, you know what, I'm alright with running whenever I'm barefoot, but boots,
It's hard, yeah, you can hear it sound like a horse running.
I also got a lot of stuff in my pockets like usual.
That sounds right. So this is the apple tree I was talking about right here, and I don't know, what do you say, there's like 3 feet of space. Usually I like to do 4 feet, but I think this is plenty of space for me walking through it. And then so it's still a bit off the tree line because this group of trees right here I'm actually really allergic to, so I don't want anything to do with that, and I don't want it to be cut into the garden bed and me touch it. It seems to not really bother anyone else, but it definitely bothers me. So this is where the bed is, and I'll turn this way and you can kind of see what's going on a bit. And then I'm gonna show you kind of what I'm going to be doing, but then it's starting to sprinkle and I just want to shut off the camera and get some work done and show it later. But let me just kind of give an idea of what I'm gonna do. So I'm sorry if it's a little shaky while I'm walking. Let's see. I guess I can start with this box over here. I try to spend, now that things are a little less chaotic, a good portion of my time during the day outside, and then all of my nighttime inside once the mosquitoes come out and everything else, or if it's raining. That way I don't have to deal with losing daylight hours, and I can sit down and work on my schoolwork or work or whatever I need to do as much as possible. There is some tape on this box. Okay, so just to give you an idea, I'm just gonna lay the cardboard down. I'll pile it up into these holes. You can see the grass coming through, so I need to lay that down. So I'll just lay cardboard in all of this, and then I'll go to the different compost piles and grab whatever is or isn't broken down. So like all these old grapevine, this is a grapevine actually, and I'll probably throw out, but this paper feed sack, all of this I'll lay in the bottom, and then I will, after I lay the cardboard down, I'm going to throw all of this. This is like eggshells, bedding from the chicken coop, all of that was composting, into there. And then let me come over here and just show you this one more time. And then all of this right in here, these are old banana plants that have broken down quite a bit because it was like 4 feet high, And then all of this compost is absolutely done and ready. I'll rake out the top layer of grass and get to this. I don't know what this plastic is or where it came from, but that's gotta go. And then all this will go into the compost bin. Hopefully there are not ants in it. That does happen when you're composting. And it does look like there are ants in it. But it is fairly nice soil. This is when there are rabbits and chicken and all of that and all the food scraps, and they broke down really well. So that'll be a great addition to the bed. And then of course I always love using mushroom compost. It's not completely broken down, and the bottom layer I like putting topsoil on, and then the mushroom compost to mulch it in the top, because if you put the mushroom compost on the bottom, I feel like it leaches out too much nitrogen, and then I have to supplement nitrogen, and I just don't want to do that right now. So this is kind of the layout of everything. You can see where it moved, so it looks a little bit different. And then I'll probably put in a couple more beds over there by that, and then once all this is cleared out, put some more beds here. But it's definitely going to take time and effort, and the main focus is going to be clearing out these weeds once again, because I got this all cleared out and then just let it go to waste. And oh my gosh, it looks like someone came in here and stepped on that poor basil plant that I was showing off the other day. So yeah, I definitely want to come take care of all of this. I did notice in the front yard we have onions springing up from last year on their own, so that'll probably produce some seed onion. And my apple tree, and a different apple tree, is blossoming. So I took a picture of that, which I'll upload, but I don't know if I'm going to have a chance to record it or not, because it's starting to get dark outside. But this is kind of what I'm doing. There's a lot to take in, a lot to do, but hopefully I can get it all cleared up and then show that off. I wish that I could record everything that I'm doing